Let's welcome on board Neeraj Deewan then and find out what he's keeping on his watch list this week. Neeraj, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. Coming out of a weak week once again, all the small and mid caps have finally managed to snap their losing streak at an index level. And then, of course, all the news flow around China, the geopolitics continues at par. And then, a heavy earnings week as well. Over 22% of the Nifty weightage is coming out with its numbers, with Reliance and HCL Technologies due today. What do you think is going to be the key trigger point for our markets?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, definitely, like you rightly said, geopolitical concerns, China stimulus, everything, these things were on everyone's mind last week. So I think over the weekend also, everyone was scared that something will come, it will be negative for our market. But nothing really came over the weekend. So we still have that uncertainty looming over our heads. So I think the market will definitely, react to the result season. You saw TCS, the numbers were not that great, and we saw TCS which tried to make up move but couldn't. It failed that move that day and it opened lower. I think HL Tech numbers would be important to see. How because the stock has been a little stronger going into the numbers, so that is one stock which one needs to watch. And then Infosys guidance very important to give a cue on what is happening on the IT front. Banking numbers are also going to be very important because last quarter PSU numbers, PSU banks didn't deliver those good numbers. And NIMs were under pressure. Some asset quality, small concerns were there. So if there is some improvement there, so that sector can be watched. And if some slight improvement is there, maybe because that is where the stocks have been consolidating, correcting. So one can see some movement there. And across the board, Reliance would be an interesting one to see because oil and gas and retail may not do that well, but then Geo can compensate and do very well. So I think numbers are going to be important, and we will react mostly to the numbers, and then even the inflation data would be important to give an indication how next policy where people have started building in some sort of a interest rate cut coming in, that should come or not. That indication also will get.
And clearly, Neeraj, Avenue Supermarts really stuck out like a sore thumb. Of course, the downgrades aside, but the challenge posed to them in metro cities, especially because of Q-commerce, is now getting real in the numbers.
Yeah, I think that is one reason because there's competition coming their way, and that is where you see some sort of a slowdown as far as Avenue Supermart is concerned. And otherwise, also I think somewhere some slowdown is visible in retail sales. We saw that in other sectors also. So I think that slowdown is something which one needs to take should be concerned about in the shorter term. If you see some liquidity being initiated by the RBI and some interest rate cut is happening in the next meeting. So I think those kind of things will again get that momentum back. Plus, festival season is going on right now. If you see some pickup now, I think that will give a good indication whether it's retail sales are concerned, whether it's other interest rate sensitives like automobile, real estates are concerned. I think across the sector where consumption plays a very important role. I think you can see if some pickup is there because of festival season also.
Okay, fair enough. And that will closely be watched out for. You also had lots of brokerages coming out with their views. What's the expectation then, Neeraj, when it comes to IT in particular for the quarterly earnings? Of course, today we'll be closely watching out for HCL Technologies. And the expectation is that when it comes to Infosys as well, we could see an improved performance in Q2. What's your outlook?
I think, yeah, definitely the performance can be slightly better than last quarter. But what is important is the guidance. I think there's a possibility on, that they may increase their guidance a little bit more. So that possibility is building into the number of Infosys and HCL Tech. So if that comes in, I think that would be positive. And even the mid cap IT where you're seeing a good movement we've already seen in the last 2-3 weeks, so they can continue performing well. So I think let's wait and see whether how the numbers come for HL Tech and what Infosys guidance is to take a further cue on how things could move in the IT space. Because otherwise, if there's some disappointment there, because we've already seen a move in Infosys, HCL Tech, and the mid-cap IT, there can be disappointment, after a move. So I think rather wait and see how these numbers pan out, and then take a fresh cue from these levels.
Okay. Yeah, so in this market, if one looks at how things have evolved, large caps are suddenly underperforming small cap. It should have been the other way around, right?
Yeah, I think everyone, last 2 3 months, everyone was talking about large caps. That let's shift to large caps. So that is where the valuations are very uncomfortable in mid cap, small caps. But that played to some extent because we saw a move in HDFC Bank and we saw some move in Reliance. But then all those moves really fizzled out when China stimulus was announced and they were selling by FIIs. So there's huge selling which happens even in some defensive stock, which is strong stock like ITC also. We saw some downside pressure happening. So I think what is important is to identify stocks in mid cap and small cap. So there will be definitely some exuberance in some stocks where they will run up, momentum will be very strong, and they'll run up much ahead of the valuation. But then that is where you find the real value also, because you will find stocks in mid and small which have the potential of delivering that 30-40% growth, which a large cap or a blue chip company can't deliver. So there will be consistency there, but they can't have that kind of exponential growth. So I think that is what ultimately plays out. Once you see a rally in this large cap, then again you will see people coming back and finding value in the mid and small cap.
Neeraj, let's talk about L&T. The private sector capex is on. Siemens, ABB, they are trading at P multiples of 60, 70, 80. But here's L&T, which is flat in this year, is trading at 24, 25 times 1 year forward. Is L&T looking good to go for as a comeback large cap stock for now?
Yeah, actually, L&T definitely has been consolidating and not really seen that up move, which we were expecting it to. Everyone was expecting it to go towards 4,000 levels, and we were getting a lot of targets upward of 4,000. But I think what happens in L&T, what I've seen, whenever there is some disturbance in the Middle East, you see some pressure coming in L&T, maybe because they have some projects in that geography also. So I think because of that, you see these pressure, but these pressures normally, which we saw in LN, which we see in L&T, are opportunities. And the recent correction that we've seen in L&T, about two 300 rupees, maybe an opportunity. But I think I would rather see the results and see where it is bottoming, because it is not really bottomed and stayed at a place and been consolidated. You've seen some fall only last week, but definitely if it corrects a little bit more from these levels, L&T should be very interesting to buy for a medium term perspective.
So Neeraj, what is a good trade for the month of October? Is it lean towards China dominated stocks like steel, copper, metals? Is it about buying IT that US economy will do well because rates are down? Or is it about keeping it local, which is about festival season, car, two-wheelers, multiplexes?
I think one needs to be wary of what is happening in the global front also, what is happening with China stimulus, what is happening in US. But I think the focus, I think, it would be more domestic, because that is where you're able to identify stocks which can give you better returns from these levels. So one should be looking at what is happening in the festival season, how the sales are picking up for whether it's retail, whether it's real estate, whether it's how demand is there for the bank credit. I think those are the spaces which one should be more careful about and identify opportunities there, because ultimately whatever happens in the global front, whether it's US or China, but you will get value in stock which are more domestic focused. So I think I would be looking at opportunities and that in that side of.
Okay, so Neeraj, in terms of a portfolio strategy, what are your top 3 holdings? How much cash are you sitting on? Are you looking at picking some bargains here or there?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at picking bargains. So not sitting at too much cash, about 15-20% kind of a cash you know, in the portfolio. And in the spaces where I'm already holding certain stock which have been doing well and which are delivering decent earnings and which can catch up as far as valuations are concerned. There's EMS space, there is water-related companies, and there are if companies which are into infrastructure. These are the areas where I'm adding whenever you see opportunities.
Good to have you on board. Thank you so much for joining in.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.